All right, welcome to our next episode where we're going to dive into the good, the bad, and the ugly of property management. Yes, there's a lot of it. I'm going to be speaking with Jenks, who's the president of WestStar Property Management. Here we go. All right, here we are with Jenks. Chris, thank you so much for joining us on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Cool. Well, thank you. So why don't we start off? Maybe you can give us a little bit of background on yourself and property management and WestStar.
Sure. So I spent about 25 years in marketing, working with sports brands like Nike, Adidas, Body Glove. And then a few years ago, I decided to sort of leave the corporate world and get my real estate license. And I was really enjoying it. And then a friend of mine, one of the owners of WestStar, asked me if I wanted to come in and help run the company. And I did. And it was a great decision. Just one of those things that kind of came out of the blue. And I'm really appreciative of it and really happy with the last 4 years. It's taught me a lot. And it's also helped me understand and realize what a great investment multifamily is. It's just truly amazing. As far as WestStar, we've been around for about 7 years. And as I said, I've been here for 4 of them. We started, when I first got here, we started with about 500 units, and it was just a handful of owners. And since then, we've increased to almost 2,000 units, and we've got about 70 owners. And I'm looking at one of them right now, and he's a great owner. We'll get into that a little bit later. The different types of owners that we have, and how they look at property management and how they treat property managers, etc. Another great part about WestStar is we have what we call All Fix, which is a maintenance construction division, which a lot of property management companies do not have. It allows us to take care of maintenance, allows us to do quick turns. We can do full rehabs. And it's really an asset to us and to the property owners, because we know we're going to do a great job and it's going to be at a decent cost. Wow. I'd like to say, like, the purpose of WestStar is to provide nice, safe housing to people, and then we serve them throughout their tenancy. But at the same time, we make sure that we give property owners peace of mind that their assets are being managed as well as possible. So that's WestStar in a nutshell.
All right. That's pretty impressive growth to go from 500 units to 2,000 units in just under 4 years. Good job.
It's been amazing. And I'd like to say, I'm sure there's a little bit of luck, but hopefully a little bit of we're doing a good job. And a lot of the growth, almost all the growth, is over the last few years from owners who buy another building or exchange out and get into a bigger building. So I'm very proud of that. To me, it means that we're doing a good job for the owners and their buildings are performing and they continue to buy more. That's where a huge amount of our growth is.
Gotcha. So maybe for the people that are kind of new to the space, maybe you could help give me like a 30-second property management overview as seen through the lens of WestStar. How would you describe in 30 seconds what WestStar does for property management? Yeah,
in 30 seconds, really, it's about resolving tenant issues and taking care of the valuable assets for the owners. We lease units out. We've got to take care of issues that come up, complaints, leaky toilets, whatever it is. That's our job. And it's our job to make sure that the tenants are happy and the owners are happy.
Gotcha. All right. You make it sound so simple.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, the reason why I know it's not so simple, I mean, as you mentioned, I am a client of WestStar, but I also manage 2 other properties on my own. And I've been doing that for about 5 years. I got into construction management about 22 years ago or so. And I've been in and out of construction, and got into property management about 5 years ago when I bought my first 2 investment properties. And I'll tell you what, it's not an easy job. You know,
No.
you always hear, you know, owners, especially like single family homeowners, they talk about the dreaded, you know, call in the middle of the night where the toilet doesn't work or something. It's always plumbing. Like, I don't know why it's always plumbing, but it's always plumbing in the middle of the night for these property management calls. But what I wanted to ask you, like from your perspective, is maybe if you could lay out the advantages of hiring a company like you versus doing it yourself like I do. And I'm split on the fence, so I kind of see both angles to it. And I do that for a reason. But maybe from your perspective, with all the experience you've got, what have you seen working with other owners that may or may not be working with a professional management company?
Sure. I think there are a few reasons why someone should choose a property manager. The first is we are 100% committed to property management, whereas most other people who invest in multifamily have other jobs, they're doing other things. They can't spend all their time managing the property. So that's one. I would say we have a better understanding of the tenant landlord laws, and they keep changing. And we better have a better idea about it, and because that's our jobs, but it's a really important part. We also have really good software that helps us manage the relationship with the tenants and keep track of everything. We have more experience in managing multifamily or properties than most owners do. You might be an exception, but in most cases, people who invest in multifamily, like I say, don't want to get involved. They have other jobs. It's a part of their investment plan, and they don't want to be hands-on. The other thing that's really quite important that I think a lot of people don't think about is if there is a maintenance issue, regardless of what it is, we have a team of people we can call. If it's a roof, if it's a plumber, if it's just fixing a light, we have someone to call. Whereas if you're, even if you're a homeowner, something goes wrong, you're always like, oh God, who do I call?
Yeah.
We've got that on our fingertips.
Yeah. It's it's a labor of love for sure. So my last 2 properties we bought with CSQ Properties, you're now managing buildings in Long Beach for us. And I will say from the owner's perspective, it's really nice to have you guys on board. Super helpful. And like you said, it's like, I'm not a professional property manager in my full-time capacity. I'm a multifamily syndicator. That's my job, but property management is an important part of it. So one of the things I found and why I've continued to manage the 2 other properties is because it really does help me keep a pulse on what it's like to be a property manager and to walk in your shoes, so to speak. And I feel like that has given me, for better or for worse, it's given me the opportunity to see what property management is like, what negotiating leases is like, what doing tenant turnover is like, and all these nuts and bolts that you might not think of initially when you're thinking of, hey, I want to invest in real estate. There's a lot more that goes to it to run a smooth functioning property that's going to give good returns to investors. So I do get to see it through both lenses, for better or for worse.
It is interesting. And a lot of owners don't, and this is kind of a weird thing for me to say, but a lot of owners don't appreciate what we do in that they don't know. Whereas, you have firsthand knowledge and you do appreciate the various things that go through our lives every day.
Yeah. Yes, I do.
Every day at night.
So I'm also, as you may know, an engineer by trade. I like to think of things in terms of processes and systems. What might be helpful is maybe you could walk us through, let's say from acquisition to disposition of a building. And if we just looked at like the major pieces that WestStar would be a part of during that process as the property manager, even before close of escrow. Like I know you guys do work during escrow and whatnot, and at disposition timeframe and getting ready for a sale. Maybe you could walk me through that, let's call it a 5-year time horizon, what it looks like with your role in that.
Sure. And again, it depends on what the owner asks us to do. But in a lot of cases, we'll go to the initial inspection of a property, but while it's in escrow, well before escrow closes, we'll bring all the inspectors out because we've got them at our fingertips, and we'll talk to the owner about rents. Give input on how's the electricity, how's the roof, are the units rehabbed, how much is it going to cost, all that kind of stuff to help. And what do we think the market rent's going to be, which is really important when you're purchasing the building. And then once it's purchased, we get all the tenants, we get all the leases and do the lease audits and make sure that the rent starts coming in. And then depending on, again, what the owner wants, we'll either work to vacate the entire building and then rehab it and get tenants back in, or we'll do it like you've done in at least one of your buildings, sort of let tenants stay, and then when they're ready to leave, they move out, we rehab the unit, and then we get another tenant in at a higher rate. Both options are fine. One uses cash flow a little bit more, operating cash, than the other. Mm-hmm. And then after, say, 2 years, 2 years probably at the most, we've been able to get through most tenants, the building's fully rehabbed, externally as well. Usually the external improvements come at the first 2 months of taking over the property. And then in a perfect world, it cash flows really nicely. And we have tenants who stay 3 to 5 years instead of, 18 months or 15 months or something. Yeah. And then, the owner decides after a few years, he either refinances and takes a fair amount of cash out, or he sells the property and buys something else. But you're right, it's typically about a 5-year time horizon.
Okay. So now that you've gone through that process here, you've been a part of WestStar for about 4 years now, what's been your favorite part and least favorite part of property management?
Favorite part is seeing taking on a property that's dilapidated and really messed up. And then we work with the tenants, we rehab the property. And then, after a year, it cash flows, it's beautiful. I like to say that just about every WestStar property is the diamond on the block. And that's because we've got great owners who spend the right amount of money to make the properties really good and give tenants a really nice place to live. I look at these properties when I'm driving around Long Beach or Inglewood or wherever our properties are, and I'm really proud of them. And, we're making a really nice place for people to live. And from the owner's point of view, it's cash flowing nicely, and it's a great investment. That's the positive part.
Yeah. And hold on, but before you answer the least positive part, keep in mind that this is going to go on cspproperties.com website and YouTube channel, so other people may see this. The least important is, or the least favorite part of my job is the few, and really it's the few tenants, the 3% who are really tough, who, don't do what they should be doing, whether it's, paying rent, but generally it's not just paying rent, it's causing commotions inside the buildings. It's those are the really least favorite part of my life that takes up a lot of time. It's just a very small amount of people. Yeah. Well, thankfully it's only 3% or so.
Something like that. Yeah. And even now with the craziness going on, it is still a small percentage of people. Most people are paying, most people are good people. And that, that's sort of reassuring when you have to focus so often on a particularly bad tenant.
So I guess expanding a little bit more on this, the 3% that might be a challenge. Now that we're like maybe 9 or 10 months or so in living through this COVID craziness, what's been your perspective of tenants and COVID and collections and eviction moratorium and all this sort of stuff, specifically speaking to the Southern California market?
Yeah, it's we didn't know what to expect in March. I was doing forecasts for 50% rent collections, and nobody letting us into their units to fix anything. And thank God it didn't turn out that way.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, most people are good, and we've been collecting about 90%, which is pretty good. And your properties are collecting even more, which is even better for you and for this conversation. We haven't. I guess I'll just go into a little diatribe right now, but every single property that we manage is still cash flow positive. We haven't had any that have had major financial issues. We have some properties that every month are 100% collected, and we have some that are struggling more than others. And they can be right across the street from the other. So there's no particular rhyme or reason on the property. It's been really interesting and really challenging because COVID definitely has affected everybody. The government got involved and sort of continued to make laws much more tenant friendly and much less landlord friendly. They're already not great in California from that point of view. But we're dealing with it. And I guess I attribute it to a few things, a couple of things in particular. One, again, most people are good and want to pay and want to work and want to do the right thing. And I'd like to think that we've done a pretty good job of vetting tenants to make sure that they can pay and they've got decent credit. It's tough because I think very few of our tenants are sort of manipulating the system, taking advantage of it. And there are a few who truly have been affected by COVID in a devastating way, lost their jobs. A lot of our tenants are in the service industry. So bars and restaurants, convention centers, Staples, the new SoFi Stadium, they're all closed still. Mm. And that has affected, for sure, some small number of people. And our point of view is we're going to work with anyone who wants to work with us. So if you communicate with us, we'll communicate back and, do everything we can in our power to help you out. If you don't communicate and don't tell us what's going on, we don't know what to do. We have a problem.
Yeah.
The laws, the eviction moratorium is tough for everybody because owners and landlords need to get paid because they've got costs. So it's been a really difficult situation. I'd like to hope we're going to get back. The economy's going to open up soon, but it's been crazy. But the one thing I would say is throughout all this, multifamily still performs, and people who invested in all different kinds of investments tell me all the time that their multifamily portfolio is doing better than all the other types of investments that they have. So, it's really reassuring of what a great investment category this is.
Yeah, I agree. And, this is the first time I've gone through a pandemic and knock on wood, but and I don't want to jinx it, but, we're at almost 99% collected through COVID on actually the whole portfolio. And I think, and you briefly mentioned it before about working with tenants, I think that does have a lot to do with it. And I know for us and the tenants that you help manage for CSQ, we give them welcome packages when they move in. We distributed COVID care packages to them with supplies. We give them, gift cards to say, hey, we're going to be doing maintenance on the unit. Please excuse the noise. Here's a personal phone number, cell phone. If it's too noisy, someone that you can contact. And I think it's those little things that are like, they're the human touch, right? They're like, at the end of the day, it's a tenant and it's a landlord. We're still people. So yeah. I think that human touch goes a long way. And the idea of like a landlord, like the slumlord landlord, you know what I mean? Which I think landlords a lot of times get kind of a bad rap, but that's where it comes from. And to use your point earlier, maybe it's 3% of landlords that are the slumlords, right? Yeah. But they give all the rest of us a bad name, when in reality, most landlords, and I'm sure most landlords that are your clients, they're not slumlords. They want to make the place nice. They want to take care of it. They want to pay for maintenance, and they do all this work. And yes, they do need to get paid for it. So I think it is a give and take. And I think the proof is in the pudding, so to speak, that we're at just about 99% collected for the last 10 months. That's something I'm really proud of and super grateful for your team. You guys have helped us get there. And I think it's paid off even during a tough time like COVID.
Yeah. And, you know, your properties are beautifully renovated. They're great places to live. You know, like you say, it's a give and take. I would even say, if the government did not put in these laws, you know, even if you don't pay, nobody wants anyone to be out on the streets. Nobody wants a 10-unit building to be completely vacant. So we wouldn't make that happen anyway.
Yeah.
We work with tenants. Tenants are trying to pay, even if they can't pay full rent, they'll pay 70%, which is, you know, helping to move things forward. So yeah, we have someone right now, because it's so hard and because it's so important, focused 100% on collections. And really what that means is communicating with the tenants, asking them what's going on, you know, can we get a partial payment, that kind of thing. But it's in a very human way. Yeah. And, you know, we'll keep doing that and we'll get through this. And, you know, we'll be back to 99% of collections every month, which is where we had been since before March.
Yeah. Well, we'll get there eventually. I think you're right. We're all working towards that same goal. So
yeah.
All right. Well, we're just about out of time, but I thought maybe I could end it on a positive note and reflecting a little bit more on your experience as a property manager dealing with thousands of tenants. What would you say is like one of the most memorable positive experiences that you've had as a property manager or as the president of a property management company?
I think I can talk about a positive and a negative at the same time with the same situation. A couple of years ago, we took over a property, and we you know, the job for us to do was to pretty much vacate it and rehab it and get it back to market rent. So we started posting notices, everything by the book, and all of a sudden there was a rent strike, and there were photos, there were big posters in the windows, on the street. They had called it editors of magazines, and all of a sudden the owner, who does not want to be in the light and definitely has another job, does not want to do property management, is getting called out in these papers. And so we ended up going down there and talking to the tenants. And all it took was me, the owner of the property, and me going down there, talking to them, listening to them, hearing them out. We were able to work out deals involving cash at times. But, for instance, maybe there was a woman who had a baby or a kid who was in school and needed to wait till school ended. Okay, great. We'll wait till June, and then you can leave, and we'll help you find another place. That went from a really terrible situation to right now, we were able to retain a few people by moving them into a fully rehab unit, and they're still there. Mm-hmm. And it's really one of these, hugely negative situations that turned into a very positive situation. It's great building, it's cash flowing. Everything's great. I guess, so again, it gets back to me, the great part about this is seeing a building that's working really well, that's fully occupied for long periods of time. If I could just add a few negatives, the tough part, another tough part is, with 1,900 units, we've got a whole lot of tenants. Occasionally tenants die, which is, it's a bummer. And you get to know these tenants, And then you really feel a sense of loss when you hear that a certain tenant died, and it's really, it's devastating in a way. So that's another negative.
Yeah, that is a challenge for sure. So, so if any other owners or even tenants wanted to get in touch with WestStar, what would be the best way for them to get in touch with you guys?
Best way would be to email chris@weststarproperty.com or go to the website at weststarproperty.com. And I'd love to talk to you about property management.
Awesome. All right. Well, we're going to be talking to you soon enough. We're actually putting a building under contract this week as we speak. So
no way.
And I think we're going to bring on WestStar to manage that one again. I'm going to stick to my own two that I handle myself. All the rest are coming your way. So,
awesome. That's great news.
That one. But this has been great, Chris. Really, thank you so much for giving an overview of what property management is, the good, the bad, the ugly, so to speak. So thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
No, thank you. And thank you for being one of the owners who's just great and understands property management, sort of empathizes with us at times, and has high expectations of us as well. And when there's a problem, you give me a call and we figure it out. So, I appreciate you very, very much. And thank you for all you've done for WestStar.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Well, there you have it. As they say, you've heard it directly from the horse's mouth. Chris Jenks has grown the company from 500 units to just about 2,000 units in 4 years. He's got a wealth of experience in a lot of different industries, and right now he's shining in property management. WestStar is a great company. Feel free to reach out to them if you'd like to learn more, whether investing or finding a right property for you to live in. And if you're interested in investing in properties through a syndication, you can reach out to us at csqproperties.com, and you can also find us on Instagram and Facebook. Thanks so much, and we'll see you on the next show. Bye.